Good morning, everyone, and welcome to DPF on Tap. We're in Season 2, Episode 31. I guess we have to call this one FTM, as you can see by most of the guys' monikers under their name. We do have a special guest today, so welcome, John Kincade from 97.5 The Fanatic. Thanks for joining us. I love that you're in the Kincade. Beautiful name for that, so much appreciated. And as you can see, we have Mike back. So after we get through paying some bills, we're going to kick it over to Mike before John does an intro on John. So what we want to kind of talk about is paying the bills a little bit here. So DPF on Tap is brought to you by Pensive Technology. For all of your internet security camera needs, please choose Pensive Technology. Ask for Chris and tell him DPF sent you. The second thing we're going to talk about is DPF on Tap is sponsored by Yards Brewing. So drink local is what we're all about. So Philly Standard is the proper tailgate beer. This entire crew was at the game yesterday, and the Philly Yards was flowing. So appreciate Yard support. And finally, Hidden Still Spirits. It is the largest PA bourbon maker in the state. Wow. They will deliver to your house. They have bourbon, award-winning bourbon, tequila, vodka, rum, and canned cocktails. So John just got the tequila yesterday. I don't know if he got into it, but I'm sure in one of the podcasts we'll ask you to do a review. So, all right. Yep. So now Mike has been away from the podcast for a while, so I want to turn it over to Mike. He has some important message for us and wants to kind of tell what he's been doing and where he was.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys, and everybody on tap. Thanks for letting me tell this little story. For everyone out there in DPF land, you can kind of hear it in my voice a little bit still. Give me a few minutes, and I just want to paint a picture for you. So in June, some of you will recall I had a wrist brace on. I had hurt my wrist doing some gardening, and in the course of figuring out what happened to my wrist, got some blood work done. And when that blood work came back, the orthopedic doctor that I went to said, "Hey, you know, your hemoglobin's a little bit low. You might want to get to your regular doctor, your primary, and check that out." And for some reason, I'm a guy. Usually we don't do that. For some reason, I went there and got it checked out. In that course of that conversation, my primary said, "Hey, remember that thing you were supposed to do 6 years ago when you turned 45? It's called a colonoscopy." He's like, "Sometimes if your hemoglobin's low, you might have some sort of a bleed in your bowel, and that could be discovered through colonoscopy." And again, I'm a guy and I hadn't done it in 6 years, but for some reason, excuse me, I went and I had a colonoscopy. And what was discovered is that I had stage 2 colon cancer. And so very quickly, the University of Penn, shout out to Dr. Mahmood and her team, were able to get me into Penn and remove a lot of stuff. She called it an impressive amount of things that she took out. She took out the tumor, a part of my colon, and reconnected it, a part of my small intestine that had attached itself to the tumor, my appendix, and 3 lymph nodes. Oof. And so been healing up the last almost 4 weeks from surgery. Did have some complications in the hospital where I had to have an NG tube. And for everyone who knows what an NG tube is, if you really, really hate somebody, wish it on them, because it's not fun. It does do a very effective job of eliminating the issue that I had, though, which was a whole bunch of bile buildup in my stomach. So I tell you all of that to tell you this. And I'm not even telling you, I'm imploring you guys. When you turn 45 years old, take the brick out of your skull, go get your colonoscopy done. Because this, if I had done that, possibly might have just been a polyp that they removed and might have not been an issue. I don't know that for sure. Nobody knows that. But if you don't go get checked out, then you won't know. And you'll see under my moniker, it says "fuck cancer." It's going to be a little longer of a road. I have to follow up with the surgeon this week and then the oncologist the following week. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated, but I'll also really nag you from now on. And we'll, as you guys know, hashtag DPF cares. We've done a lot of fundraising and awareness raising for charities along the way in this journey of DPF on tap. We'll definitely be partnering with some sort of colorectal cancer group in the future. So stay tuned. So again, to my fellow on tap hosts, thanks so much for letting me tell that story. And to everyone in DPF land, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell everybody when it's time, when you hit 45, go out and get a colonoscopy and make sure you take care of yourself. And thanks, Chris. Johnny, I guess we're kicking it over to you.
Yep. Okay. My name's John. Nice to finally meet you, John. Virtually, of course. I've been listening to John since he was coming on the Angelo Cataldi show in the morning once a week. And I'm like, ooh, who's this guy? A local guy. He's got a sense of humor. He's always hits the nail on the head with his takes. I was like, and I looked forward to you coming on every week with Angelo and just talking about, sports, if the Braves were playing the Phillies, Falcons, Eagles, whatever. That's how I got turned on to you. And then when you came back to Philly, I switched over to the Fanatic just to hear you in the morning, and I've been riding along with you guys ever since. And I always appreciate you reading my tweets, and I interact with you and Sal Chunas. It's always a fun time. I'd like to welcome Mr. John Kincade from the 97 The Fanatic.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Welcome. I feel like I know you guys though, because I've popped in on your content since I've been home, since you guys launched this thing, and I check in from time to time. I'm a big supporter of what I would call the amateur broadcaster industry, because I think that that's many, many times where some of the new age content comes from. It's not it's not our grandfather's media industry. And I think it's a lot of fun. And you guys tend to have a unique and a lot of fun with it. So I know Chunas and I will both check it out, and we enjoy that. We enjoy hearing what people's different takes on things. And it's a big help there. And Mike, I want to congratulate you as a survivor of stage 3 colon cancer last year, and going through, because I got to stage 3 and it got into my lymphatic system, I had to do double chemotherapy for 7 months, and it is nasty. And your message to people is absolutely true. Guys, got to get out of your own heads. Got to take care of yourself, because colon cancer is so preventable. But I had a colonoscopy and I was clean, and I wasn't due for one back then. They said, come back in 10 years. Well, 7 years, it got me. And so you got to be aware of your body and everything like that. So congratulations to you, Mike. And when you guys want to do something for the colorectal cancer and everything, I said, let's talk, because I would gladly love to be a part of it with you.
That's great. Thank you, John.
But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I love what you guys do. And I love the commonality of our love of the Philadelphia Phillies, though at times it can cause a lot of anger too.
Yes.
That segment's called What Makes You Drink, John.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so John, as you can see, we kind of partnered with a few alcoholic beverage companies. So that kind of is a little bit of our cure for certain instances where they're not hitting or not playing well.
I want to try the vodka from your friends there too. I got to check that out in the spirits too. That's awesome. And of course, Yards is fantastic. Yep. Yards is very much a staple at almost any tailgate that I pop in on. It is always a staple. Somebody's got some Yards product and everything. So that's awesome.
Yeah, love it. I'm going to move into some Phillies talk,
Sure.
John. So I want to kind of ask you, we were all at the game yesterday, and there was that moment in the 7th where all of us are yelling, sack bunt, Marsh, and he did. How important is playing small ball for a team that can often not have or have offensive woes? To me, it set up that moment. I thought that was an especially poignant turning moment in the game yesterday.
Well, you know what you say turning moment in the game. I almost look at it as a turning moment for Rob Thompson.
Yeah.
Because how many times have we all yelled at our TV screens or yelled in the stadium and gone, God, could somebody just lay down a damn bunt? And they refused to do it. And I think what that showed you yesterday is they might be taking a different approach now when the games are more important. Now, for me, I think you should do that all along. But Rob Thompson has a team with the best record in baseball. So he has his own methodology and his own belief system. And I believe it's based on an analytics department that tells him not to give up outs. But I thought that was beautiful yesterday. And I loved watching Marsh. That bunt was perfect. Absolutely perfect for what needed to be done.
Sure was.
And I got to tell you, I'm shocked that more guys on this team can't lay down a bunt, can't execute that in that situation.
It's absolutely shameful because you figure like the only person that I could rely on for a bunt is Garrett Stubbs. You know, honestly, like
he's fantastic.
He's awesome. Like just perfect placement, and a lot of his are for hits and not sacrifices. But you know, Dugan, like tell me about yesterday. The other important turning point I thought was the replay team with the catching Iglesias off second there.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah, that really was. The Mets had all the momentum at that point in the game. They were up 4-0. Iglesias hits a double. He looked like he made it easy, you know, and just that split second of coming off the bag and Turner keeping the glove on him, I really think it did change the game because the next batter led off the next inning with a double. It would have been another run for the Mets, you know, 5-0 lead at that point. So, I mean, the Phillies replay team, they get it right almost 100% of the time when they decide to challenge. You know, every once in a while, late in the game, if they still have one in their pocket, they might throw out one that's a random one that you know that they're just taking a chance on. But they're right on this, and I think that's a weapon. And to have the success that they do using the challenge and getting plays overturned either in their favor or you know getting an out in that situation. It's huge. It's huge. And whoever spotted that, brilliant. Genius. That was great.
Dugan, you're not a Delco Dugan, are you?
I am not. I'm a Northeast Philly Dugan.
Okay, because I know a ton of Delco Dugans, and none of them they're all up to no good.
That's that commonality.
I can neither confirm or deny that, but
I got a beat on you. But I mean, as far as what you're saying there is, isn't it too though? And I know a lot of the conversations that I've heard you guys have on previous editions have revolved around little nuance like that ends up so many little things determine victory or defeat. And I love seeing it when they're getting the little things right because sometimes I think this team isn't very smart. I'm just saying it. I think they are terrible on they make terrible decisions on the base paths. They fall asleep at the wheel getting picked off first. I think Trey Turner is, you know, he could work at a meat market because he's a butcher at short. But the thing is, but you feel like an idiot when they have the best record in baseball.
That's true.
You feel like an idiot pointing it out. But I always believe that the little things don't matter until they do. And then when they do, they can kill you.
Yeah, John, perfect segue from Turner. So one of the guys on the show, his real name's Rob, but we call him the Butcher. We played at Roman Catholic High School together, and Rob played first base. And he got the Butcher in the same way the name Turner got the Butcher.
Yeah, John, you might realize, you know, I'm working with a deficit here. This is real, not for Halloween. But I could have 3 hands, and I would still be a terrible fielder. So,
hey, you made the team. I literally got told, you know, go find another sport when Babe Ruth, like, what's the year after Babe Ruth? Like 13, so like 14, 15 in the Marple Newtown area. I got told, you know, you might want to find another sport because I couldn't hit. Once guys started throwing curves, so I appreciate the fact that you made the damn team.
Yeah, we went to Roman. So I think it was me or like a spare basketball that they just had laying around. So
a good buddy of mine coached West. So over the years, so you might have gone against Father Casey. You might have gone up against his teams back in the day. But it's great. I love the baseball too. So the Butcher's all right as long as you're not handling sharp objects. We're fine.
Only his wit is smart, John. So we appreciate that. Another thing that happened yesterday that, none of us had on our bingo card or expected was, Walker came in and he pitched solidly. John, were you surprised that he came in and pitched solid?
I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that he went 3 scoreless. And I think he only gave up 2 hits, I believe. Maybe it was 3 because he had the double play on the 1. But I was surprised with the efficiency that he had more than anything. But I think the good thing is, if you remember the last time that he gave us 3 good innings in a relief appearance, Rob trotted him out for a 4th inning. And then he got torched. He ended up giving up like 2 or 3 runs.
Yep.
I think they got him out at the right time, build up a little bit of confidence in him. And I don't know whether he's going to end up being on the – I don't know what their plan would be for him in the postseason or not. But it's nice to know that in a mop-up type situation, he could potentially save your bullpen. Or yesterday, he kept you breathing enough. He got the defibrillator out and kept you breathing long enough for the bats to finally come alive. So I admire Taijuan Walker with that. Seems like a really good dude. He just can't be on the 2025 Phillies. I don't care what they have to do. They cannot trot it out again to us and try to convince us that this time it'll work. It's not working. It hasn't worked. They got to find some way to get out under that contract.
Yeah. Mike,
Hey,
to you.
real quick,
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I just was I had 2 points on Walker. I think it's too little too late, and maybe he's kind of figured a little something out. He talked after the game about watching a lot of tape and tweaking some mechanics, and so be it. Maybe he's auditioning for his next team. And John, I agree, it has to be somewhere other than Philadelphia next year. But I will give him credit, because the other thing he said after the game was, I've not done enough to help this team win. And damn if we haven't been saying that all year. So, kudos to him for owning it. But I do think he's auditioning a little bit for his next role on his next team.
Well, a little self-awareness too, because last year when he was bitching and complaining that he wasn't getting opportunities in the postseason, to come out like that and pitch like that this year, that really is a bad look. Now, if he came out lights out this year, you could have said, hey, maybe he had a point. Nah, he didn't have a point. And I do admire, though, because he's being a good teammate this time around. He's being a good teammate.
Yep. Looking forward to the playoffs a little bit, and specifically teams like the Dodgers. Glasnow's out. Their bullpen, their rotations in shambles. The other one is Reynaldo Lopez out of Atlanta. He is possibly hurt. It shows to me the importance of depth, and I think, Mike, this was to you. I think the Phillies went wrong by not getting some extra starter at the trading deadline. What do you think of that? And do you think next year, Painter, is Painter going to play? Isn't he going to be? But they're going to treat him with kid gloves. Is he going to pitch 100 innings at most? What do you think about that? Not getting someone and saying they didn't need it, and it's not our money. Walker has to find somewhere else next year. What do you think the Phillies are going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very vocal about a gentleman that I thought they should have gone out and gotten for very cheap. John, in case you missed it, I've been on the Trevor Bauer bandwagon a lot. I realize he may not be a good teammate, but with all the leaders we have in that clubhouse, I thought they could have policed him. And if not, what is it, $875,000? They could have. We're about to jettison a guy who's making $18 million. We could have eaten the 875 to at least give him a shot. I think they were banking on Spencer Turnbull's oblique or back or whatever. He's been on the 90-day IL now forever. I think they were banking on him coming back a little bit, although he's at his max innings for coming back from Tommy John. I think that has to be something that Dave addresses in the offseason. Painter, to your point, will have a pitch count. He'll have an innings count. He'll have everything that they use to make sure that when someone's coming back off of Tommy John, they don't get hurt again. But it will be interesting. I was just talking to my brother-in-law last night about who he pushes harder next year. Does he make Sanchez a little bit better? Does he make Ranger a little bit better? Even Nola, can Nola be a little bit more consistent if this guy's lighting it up at 98, 99 and really pushing them as that, second, third, fourth starter. So I agree with you. I think they could have done a little bit more at the deadline. We talked about a bunch of guys. The one that really stands out in my mind was Crochet from the Sox. He was cheap, and another lefty that we could have mixed in if I remember right. But that's basically my thoughts on that.
Well, I can tell you the Bauer thing was never happening. And I'm not an expert on that clubhouse. I've been in the clubhouse 5 times this year, maybe 6. So I'm not an expert. I'm not speaking as like somebody like the beat writers who are in there all the time. But I can tell you that was a 0.00 chance of happening. Trevor Bauer has made his bed, whether it's deserved or not. Him and I got into a Twitter fight. You can go look up just a couple weeks back. He came after me on Twitter for just sharing my opinion that every major league team has had an opportunity to bring him in and nobody's done it. That speaks volumes, because especially with what people think and what they think of him as a teammate, potentially. But whether that's deserved or not, you can change. And I hope the guy has a successful, somehow turns it around. But as far as if they had just went and gotten a serviceable back of the rotation starter, right now, I honestly think that the top seed, you're up 2 games with the tiebreaker on the Dodgers this morning. I think that would have been locked up. I think we would have been sitting here today going 2 weeks to go. We're 4 games up on the Dodgers with the tiebreaker. And that's the difference. If that really meant something to you, and they said in the spring, getting the bye meant something to them, not playing in the wild card series meant something to them, I think they should have done something about that. But the Estevez move ended up being a huge move. And it's really, when was the last time? 2008 that you felt this good about 4 guys in the bullpen? If I count Strom in with the Kerkering, set up at the, Kerkering in the 7th, Hoffman in the 8th, Estevez in the 9th. When's the last time you throw Strom in there that you felt good about 4 arms coming out of the Phillies bullpen? It's amazing.
And you might start feeling good about Alvarado too. The last 5
the
games,
hefty lefty.
Yeah, he's looked great. Let me throw something out there too, Chris, about the 5th starter. Cal Stevenson had 2 big hits this week to win games for the Phillies. He had to hit yesterday, and he had to hit Tuesday against the Rays that broke that 4-4 tie. A guy like him, a guy like Weston Wilson, who's come up and played well for the Phillies, does that give them a little, depth in the outfield where maybe one of our vibe guys could be a piece that gets moved to get a back end of a rotation guy? I like Mark and I like what he brings to the team, but he's a platoon guy in my mind because he doesn't hit lefty. So is he a piece that potentially could be moved for a rotation guy, in the offseason?
You just called him a platoon guy, though. And the thing is, who you trade? I
think you could package it with something.
By the way, I believe it. Brandon, in fact, lived like a couple towns over in Atlanta growing up, and played football at a rival high school to the one my daughter went to. I watched that kid. He was the Dallas Goddard and Brian Dawkins built into one playing high school football. He was a beast in high school football at a school, Buford High School, that was just a football power. I think he was part of 2 state championship teams. He was awesome. But I still think, though, he's written the chapter of what he is. As far as, and you say the vibes guy, I don't believe Stubbs will be here next year. I don't know that. I think they can't go into next year with just saying we have these spare parts type of people in far as positions. I would look at it as though I'm wondering, is Stevenson giving them pause on what do you do with Rojas as far as the postseason roster? And I'm telling you, for whatever reason, I think they have been frustrated with Rojas, though he's given them exactly what they said to us in spring training. They said if he could hit 230, 240 with that defense, we don't care. He did that, and they still care. There's something about Rojas they seem to not dig as much as some other guys.
Well, I think that goes back to your early comment about them being a dumb baseball team. I think Rojas might have the lowest baseball IQ of anyone I've ever seen. He gets picked off base more than anybody with that speed. And to have that speed and not be able to bunt is a crime. It's an absolute crime.
You have an entire offseason to work on. When you're a skilled athlete that can get to the major league level, you are absolutely correct. You could spend 6 weeks, 8 weeks of your winter just working on bunting, just trying to perfect that. And it's obvious that whatever was done with him, or he didn't put in enough. But I would not be shocked if Rojas was not part of the postseason roster.
Yeah, like John, in the spring, we saw like Rojas kind of working out, and like we saw him like starting to build muscles, and I was like, this is exactly what we don't need from this guy. Like, we're not looking for you to hit home runs, catch the ball, and move runners across here.
Yeah, I mean,
well, we said
that's what you're looking for, and you want him to bat ninth. You want him to potentially set the table for Schwarber to come up and get an easy, if he can get on base with a walk, even a walk with better plate awareness and the strike zone awareness, get on base. Let Schwarber get an easy single at the top of the order to knock you in. It's been frustrating because I'm a big Rojas fan. I think that, and I know from talking to pitchers on the staff, not frequently, but talking to them before, those guys appreciate his glove behind them. And last year, I know in the postseason, like that Atlanta game, he saved game 4 of that series. He saved it. The Acuna shot should have cleared the bases, could have totally shifted that series, sent it back to Atlanta for a game 5. He saved the series. So I'm just frustrated that they never perfected enough. And that could be on Coach Long, not on him.
Well, we were talking when we were all proponents of having him go down to the Iron Pigs and work it out. And then, we all saw he hit a home run and, everybody's like, oh, he's hitting home runs down there. That's not why we sent him down. And so,
and then Marsh,
there was an injury and he had to come back. Right.
He had to come back. And the patience, the one thing I will say is this. The patience that the organization has shown and the opportunity it's shown for Brandon Marsh, that I don't believe they've shown for Johan Rojas, I believe is a failure on both of their parts. There's something there. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a big Rojas fan too, as you are, John. And like
you're
you
fast
said,
like him, right, John? You're fast like
huh?
him. You're
Yeah.
nimble
and
like
as you've said on the air too, he's doing what they asked him to do, hit at least about 240, just to justify, him staying up here. And obviously he has great defense, but he's still, like we were saying before, a couple of guys mentioned before, he's got to be smarter on the base pass. And I have always said, not just him, but people across the team, minus Stubbs, because he does the bunting the best. Why don't they go out there a little bit before everybody else and have like someone just throw some balls to them and just practice laying it down in batting practice?
I would say I would understand your point, John, as far as that, like what you want. I would tell you that across baseball, it's rarely done. Any kind of bunting practice is usually more done on in the cage below. And then and then usually the last swing is a bunt attempt. You'll watch these guys in batting practice. They'll take, 30 hacks trying to hit a home run. And then the last one is a lame-ass, half-assed bunt attempt.
Right.
And to me, I think it's important, but that may also be because I've got salt and pepper hair. I remember a different era that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
GMs look at it as, our analytics department says, don't bunt. You're giving up outs, and don't give up an out. So,
yeah.
And just to let me just close the loop on the Rojas thing real quick, because John brought up about his plate discipline. He's only got 12 walks on the season.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculously low for a guy like the guy who should have be that prototype leadoff type hitter with that speed, where have some patience, hit the ball on the ground. So 12 is terrible.
Yep. So I'm going to kind of pause here, go to some viewer comments. So we have Megan. Thanks for joining. Philly Standard's a great beer. It looks like we have a special admirer who's a wife of another guy on here, and she's glad we're bringing sexy back. So welcome back, Mike.
I was glad to join you this morning. Oh no, she didn't mean that. Sorry, Christy.
Alex, great to see you, Mike. Lots of love and support to you. So another Alan, Mike, glad you're doing well. Bad Load Bob with God Bless Brother. So thanks for joining this morning, Bob. I'm sure it's a little hazy this morning for you, but it's not uncommon for all of us to have.
How good was that tailgate? That's what I want to know.
It was pretty good.
It was really,
it was
really
hot
good.
yesterday. I was texting with John and going, how hot was it? Because it seemed like it was yesterday. Seemed like all of a sudden the heat came back, and I was out this morning. I went on a hike out here this morning. It was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day.
So, John, I got a little bit of in trouble. I'm going to out myself. So yesterday, as we go to the game, we're in 301. It's incredibly hot. I am like just sweating through my DPF shirt. I asked Dugan to the right of me, "Do you want a beer?" He says no. So the wives
You knew
were down
something was wrong at that point.
Yeah. He immediately knew that was like an oddity. So I went down to Pass and Stowe where the wives were. There was air conditioning. Bryce hit 2 home runs. I came back right afterwards, and they didn't want me to return to the section.
That's good.
Understandably.
Okay. We just had Friday the 13th Friday. What is your superstitious thing when you're watching a game?
Oh, how much time do you have, John?
I mean, seriously, like your biggest one. Like my wife will, if things are going bad, will leave the room, but you're not allowed to move if they're winning. You're not allowed to move. Like you have to stay. You're not allowed to switch venue and watch it at a different TV. You're not allowed to do that. So
we're aligned. We're aligned with that. I know if, like for instance, yesterday I was watching and it was 4-0, and I turned.
Yes.
Oh, Mike,
He
freeze.
froze up.
There you go.
You're good.
You're back. You're back, Mike. You froze for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying I turned it off when it was 4-0, and when I turned it back on, it was 4-3 yesterday. So that kind of thing, John.
That's not bad. Okay. I said I just I don't mind that. Sometimes I'll flip on to, I'll go if it's bad going early on, I'll go watch Young and the Restless or something, and then I'll come on back.
Hey Chris, can I do
a
this
lot of
one?
chuckles for Young and the Restless. I gotta say.
Yeah, sure.
This was at 11:11. This is the latest into a podcast where we got to fuck the Mets and or fuck Joe Carter. So I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but Amy, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I never have seen the Joe Carter home run.
What?
I was in Kelly's on Villanova's campus, 1993 Saturday night, watching that game. I was incensed that Mitch Williams was brought into that game.
Yep.
And the minute Joe Carter swung and that ball left his bat, you knew it was gone.
Yep.
I turned, walked out of Kelly's, and I am now in my late 50s. And I have I don't know if he did cartwheels around the base paths. I don't know if he flipped double birds to the Phillies bench. I've never watched the highlight. People have tried to trick me into watching it. The minute I see that, I'm just turn my head away. I've never seen that highlight, and I'm incredibly proud that I didn't.
You should be.
Good for you. Breaks my heart every time I see it. Breaks my heart. Fuck Joe Carter. God damn it.
Yeah.
John, do we have a Ranger Suarez problem, and how concerned should we be at his recent performance?
Okay, this is going to seem like fat shaming, but Ranger Suarez, go look at the video of April and May. Look at him. Look at the video of him now.
His wife's cooking.
He's 15. Hey, you know what, dude? You're not wrong. 15 to 20 pounds on him easily. You can look at it and you can see it. And look, his wife shows up. His kids come to town. Think of it this way. His entire pro baseball career, he is worried about baseball. He's come to the country. He's focused on baseball. He's resting. He's relaxed and everything. He's a good man. Ranger's a great dude. Great dude. He has a wife now at home. He has little kids at home. When they come home, Dad, play with us. Dad, do this. I'm sure his wife's cooking him some good foods and everything. I think that maybe the adjustment to that life has been an issue. I wonder about it with Bryson Stott becoming a dad this year. How much that has affected him in not having his best year. It's an adjustment. Now mine was 20 years ago when I became a dad, but I remember my life was different. Things were changed. my social time, my rest time, everything was all affected. And if people don't think that's part of this, I think it is. But I think if you're having back issues and you're carrying 15 to 20 extra pounds on you, and you can see it, just look from his April starts to look to today. I think take the weight off, Ranger. Take it off. Because if you're having back issues, you shouldn't be carrying a belly. And that's bottom line. And that may seem harsh to people, but I think it's a thing. Because there have been many heavy pitchers in the history of the game. But when you're having back issues, first thing a doctor would tell you, hey, take off that belly. Let's see what it does after that.
Would you have
as I drink my beer
starter? is he still your number 3 starter in the playoffs, guys?
Ooh, one of you guys take this because I'm fascinated to hear it. I know we're going to be talking about this in the next couple of weeks, so this is like a little case study for me.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I just think it depends on, like we said this last time, I said it just depends on what he does and what Sanchez does.
Right.
Because right now, I mean, Sanchez is still, balling out, whether he gets a win or a loss. He's going deep into games. He's like, his control is on point and he's got velocity. And with Ranger hasn't gone deep in a game yet. I think he went, five and a third has been his longest start since he came back.
And don't you want to see Sanchez though at CBP and not on the road?
And that's the problem. And that's the issue. It's matchups and it's who you're playing, where you're playing.
Let's assume that they get one of the buys and you're setting things up. Do you want Sanchez as a road starter? He's been impeccable at home and he's been mediocre on the road. I wonder about that.
Would you move him to 2 and Nola 3 in that situation where the third game might be on the road?
I'm a bad one to ask on Nola because
we're the same way.
Here's how I look at it. Aaron Nola is a fine pitcher, and I admire this most about Nola is that I know he's going to take the bump 31, 32 times a year. He's been durable. He keeps himself in proper condition to be able to do that, and I admire the hell out of that. But the erraticism of him just drives me up a wall, and I can't believe that at this point in his career, he hasn't figured that out, that he hasn't found a way to not have the landmine start after the great start, and you just don't know what you're going to get. And to me, I would feel more comfortable if you told me you were going to go Wheeler, Sanchez, Nola on the road, because I don't think Nola's affected either way. He's pitched great in Atlanta during the postseason. Yep. He's pitched great in that St. Louis wild card series. I would feel better with Nola being your game 3 than I would with Sanchez being your game 3.
Yeah, I mean, Nola's a number 2 starter, supposedly. This year he's 12-8 with an almost 4 ERA. I mean, it's 3.62. And, it's disappointing. 6 hits and 4 1/3 against, a team that you may see in the playoffs. Right. I think his constant nibbling and not going after hitters is a problem. And I do wonder if he's tipping pitches. More in the 4th and 5th inning, it seems, because the second time around, this guy I don't know if he's not switching it up or kind of what's happening, but the constant nibbling of him and the gopher balls, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
The nibbling, I love to put out the nibbler. When I see it shed in the first couple innings, I'm like, okay, and I'll put out my nibble tweet. And here comes the nibbler. Here comes the nibbler. He's like the squirrel. He's nibbling. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because he's so talented. And I know that you don't beat Atlanta either of the last 2 years without him dialing up a big balls effort, which he did. So
he's kind of Nola's as schizophrenic as this offense, and it's sometimes within the same game, like the way the offense can be no hit, shut out for 5 innings, then all of a sudden explode for 6 runs in 1 inning. Nola does the same thing. He had a no-hitter through 5 the other day against the Mets, and then boom, 6 runs are on the board. He's kind of schizophrenic as the offense can be sometimes.
I think it's 4 games in the last 12 or 13. The Phillies haven't had their first hit till the 5th inning or beyond.
Yeah,
that's so freaking ridiculous.
That's bad.
That's bad.
Yeah, we put out there. There's constantly a possibility to have a no-hitter or to score 10 runs. Like that's the kind of arc of what the offense is,
which is very bad for my Bet Parks app.
Hey, can we take a quick Eagles timeout? There's a
Sure.
question that
Yes.
says, are football questions allowed? John knows the Atlanta market. How much do we kick their ass by today?
Or some-
I think
Tomorrow night.
I think I'd take the Falcons plus the 6.5. I think that Atlanta got embarrassed at home in their home opener. And when I don't know the status of A.J. Brown for tomorrow night's game, I think I would lean towards laying the points. If you're putting together a same game parlay, I would take the Eagles on the money line because I think the Eagles will win the game. But I think 6.5 points would be a little rich for me of laying that, especially not knowing the status of A.J. Brown. And when you're the Eagles, do you push A.J. Brown with a hamstring issue in week 2? Or do you realize it's a 17-game slate and you're going to need him? So I don't know what's going on with that, and I have no intel on it. But I cannot wait to be there tomorrow night. And I love nothing more than tormenting my old fan base that I had to deal with for years down in Atlanta. They hate. I am. Look, with the Phillies and the Eagles, it's been the Antichrist. I am honestly. I am Damien the Omen to those people. They're great. They're great people, but they hate seeing us.
We appreciate you representing down there.
Yes. Oh, I did.
That's awesome.
I did for 2 decades, and I looked at it from the beginning and said, I always thought I'd come home to Philly sooner.
Yeah.
So I always believed that in Atlanta, I just said, I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm going to tell them who I am. Now, I didn't tell them your team suck or anything like that, because honestly, the majority of the time that I was down there, the Braves were better than the Phillies.
Exactly.
For the most part. And they're a great organization. And the Falcons had their moments. But Andy Reid era, was when I was on the air, when I started my show down there in Atlanta. And so it just, things went really well. And Keanu Neal, I always take my share of the championship in back in 2017, because Keanu Neal ended up living in my house, my old house. And so when that kicking of that ball came, he ended up living in my house. So I would say that that's something that plays to my favor.
If Howard can get a ring, you should get a ring.
Oh yes, I interned under Howard back in the day, so I didn't get any fur coats, but I got a lot of great knowledge that has helped me for a long time.
That's awesome. John, Bryce has not hit home runs forever, and he had 2 yesterday. Is Bryce back? Is the power swing back? Is he not just a line drive hitter? There's line drives that are going to go over the fence.
I'm hoping he's back. It was a nice sight to see that he knocked a couple yesterday. We've been waiting forever, like you said. His swing looked good. I'm hoping some of those line drives go over the fence. I hope he doesn't stare at them like he did last week. When we were all shouting at the TV, like, what are you looking at? Run. You make contact, you run. So I'm hoping once the ball leaves the bat, he starts running, like, no matter what it is, because that's what frustrates me about him. Sometimes Nick too. He's not the only guilty one, Harper. But I'm hoping he's back. I hope he gets in some stride. Now, he's not going to hit one every game, but I mean, I would like to see some consistency.
The difference though is that even when he wasn't hitting the home runs, he was still getting hits.
Yeah.
At least he was coming out of his funk. So that was good to be able to see that. If Bryce Harper's the least of my concerns for October. Like if you're talking about concerns that I have for October, I'm really not worried about Bryce Harper. And I think that if anybody is saying that they are, I would consider that almost disrespectful based on what we've seen the last couple years. He has shown up when the lights were brightest most of the time. You're never going to hit lights out for 3 series or 4 series if you have to. But he was fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw there was like a scary moment yesterday
with his hand.
Bat. Yeah, I think it was his back, and it's because he's got that swing. And you guys were at the game, so I don't know if you guys caught it. It looked like he hit himself in the back with the bat on the follow through. And that's when he was wincing and walking up the line. And it's things like that we talked about before. He's an athlete. He can handle the season, but he's getting a little older. I don't expect him to tone it down. But
Right.
it's like I see him do something like that, and that's when I get a little bit concerned. Not about his performance, just about his health.
Yeah.
Can we take a quick poll?
Sure.
Here's my poll question. How many times have you, or is it more often that you've yelled bunt or run it out this year, Chris?
Bunt.
John?
Bunt.
Butcher?
I've probably yelled bunt, but I've yelled fuck way more than all of them.
Dugan? Fair
It's
enough.
bunt. It's bunt.
John?
I'm with Rob, but I said a different word. It was bunt or dickhead.
Yeah, I'm definitely bunt too. So that should tell us something. Like, in a 162 game season, we all got frustrated the other night when, Bryce should have been on second, but it's more for me about the playing the small ball and the baseball IQ than these guys every once in a while taking off a two hopper to second base. So for me, it was bunt as well.
I'd like to see them just make routine plays. Like yesterday, Colby Allard's on the mound. First ball hit in the air. That hung up way long enough for Marsh to catch that ball.
Has to happen.
And it drops in. That ball has to happen. If that ball's caught, he gets out of that inning scoreless.
Yep.
Who knows how that affects? Who knows how, if he gets that first out, if all the walks don't happen? He immediately put the kid under pressure. And then if Bryce, like the ball, it was a little wild coming across from Cody Clemens from third. The ball took a bounce, but it was not a bounce that I don't think it's something that Freddie Freeman lets get by him. I don't think it's something that other first basemen let get by them. Bryce has got to stop that ball or get his body in front of him.
And going back to the bunts, I think, since Earl Weaver and the 3-run home run came into prevalence, I think the Phillies, to have them get 3 hits in the same inning it's almost impossible, at least bunched in a row. But if you can add in a bunt and here's the word that we all want to happen, is you got to make contact. Too many strikeouts or too many unproductive at-bats to move these guys across is important. We haven't seen the home run as much as we were supposed to be, the new advent of Murderer's Row, right?
Sure. We have not. It really hasn't been. But again, I almost feel like little bitch boy sometimes when we're the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, but I don't believe it's weird. I will insist that I'm hoping that in November we're not saying all the little things we were complaining about ended up being what sunk them in October.
Yeah.
Because they're not playing in the NL. Look, the NL West is going to send 3 teams to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
the Dodgers are 2 games behind the Phillies, but the NL West is going to send 3 teams to the postseason. We're going to send 2. To me, I look at it as that Dodger record is really impressive considering what they have in their own division.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with Betts being out, their best player for a while. They still have the Ohtani, but like Betts is an MVP candidate every year. And to your point, John, like if the season ended today, the Phillies are playing either San Diego or Arizona in the first round.
Yeah, they're going to play the winner of that series, and I wouldn't be just totally comfortable that we're going to the NLCS. I wouldn't be. I think both of those teams are dangerous, and the way Arizona plays them, complete confidence. They have complete confidence against us.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Pisses me off.
We asked on a previous podcast, and Rob, you made the point, who are you most worried about in the playoffs? And Rob, your answer was great because you said I'm most worried about the Phillies.
Who did say that? I
thought it was you.
That was Sig. Sig said that.
That was Sig.
That was sick.
Yeah, I just said I don't want to lose to the Mets, and then we went out and laid that egg the other night, and I'm like, fuck, I hate being right.
Yeah. I honestly would love to see the Mets in the wild card series if they make it. If they make it ahead of Atlanta. Remember last week they played 3 games Mets Braves in Atlanta. And we've seen what Atlanta's done to the Dodgers the last 2 days. They bludgeoned them.
Right.
Yep.
And Atlanta is you got to stick a wooden spike through the chest. You got to kill the vampire there because they're going to be dangerous with that. If Lopez is healthy, if he is going to be back, which I don't know if he will. I don't know, but I don't want to see Chris Sale in a postseason series. No.
I mean, he's the Triple Crown, no doubt Cy Young winner.
I don't want to see it in a short. I don't want to see it in a short series. I really do not.
Two left-handers, who the Phillies generally don't play as good against.
Don't want to see it. Not in a short series.
It.
I would feel good against the Braves in a 7. I wouldn't feel as good in a 3 or a 5. And the Mets too. I wouldn't feel as comfortable in a 3. A 3, I absolutely wouldn't. You got to stay out of that wild card series.
Yeah. So, Mike, you kind of do trivia questions, and I'm Polish, so I'm going to ask the trivia question that I don't know the answer to. But right now, the Phillies have 3 players in the top 10 of NL batting average. I don't know the answer, but can anyone remember this happening before? Like Dugan, I remember when the last 300 hitter we had before the Bryce era was Juan Pierre.
Yeah.
We have 3 in the top 10.
That is.
I'm gonna have to do some research, but my knee jerk is maybe
08. Would you have Jimmy Shane and Jason Worth maybe too? I think Worth
maybe
high 290s.
I can't believe that stat for this year. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was very surprised. Turner's number 3, and he'll probably stay 3 or 2 because Arias, I think he's on a streak of 130 at-bats without a strikeout. This generation's Tony Gwynn.
That's why we couldn't trade for him.
Yeah.
He didn't fit our organizational philosophy.
But I tried to research this, and I'm I started in 1950 because I was I don't know, maybe it was Puddinhead Jones, Whitey, and Dick Sisler or something. Because I just can't remember.
You know what? I'll text Jason Stark and try to find out. That's fascinating to me. And if you told me, I had no idea when you just spit that out that was even. It doesn't even seem believable.
No,
what they do. It's unbelievable.
No. And Jason Stark, I mean, you grew up in this area, reading the Sunday Inquirer and having Jason Stark. I mean, that was the tone. That was everything. That's the reason why we love this game as much as we do. Jason Stark.
I hope you guys at some point have ever had a chance to interact with him. He is, when I tell you, he would be on one of the most wonderful, kind, nicest people you could ever know in an industry full of not very nice, interesting, kind people. Yeah. He stands out like a sore thumb. He is a spectacular individual. And he helped give me part of my love for baseball. Jason Stark, you had to read it. Yeah, it was a must. Mm-hmm. And then when he went to ESPN, it was even more. It was just, he's absolutely incredible and a spectacular person.
I would love to have him on, and we're John having you on, and then we had Kruk on, and then we're actually we're having Ruben Amaro's sister come on.
Ruben Amaro's sister.
And we rag on Ruben constantly. So
you forgot Sparky Lyle, man.
We had Sparky.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing is what you guys are doing though is you guys are raising your awareness, and you guys are more importantly just having fun. And honestly, I would say this to anybody who's, young podcasters or anybody who's interested in doing it. If you're not having fun, you're not going to gain traction. If it's not, I did a podcast for 6 years with Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq wanted to do a podcast back when podcasting was still new. Yeah. And I somehow, thanks to Ernie Johnson Jr., God bless his soul, Shaq had been through 7 interviews with people and hadn't found somebody he wanted to do a podcast with. And Ernie Johnson set me up with a dinner with Shaq. And my wife said, "You're going to do a podcast with Shaq?" And I said, "Hell no. He's not picking me." I said, "But I'm going to tell my grandchildren that Shaq bought me dinner. So I'm going to be able to do that." And little did I know I would end up doing a podcast with him for 6 years. And I can tell you is the first thing you got to do is you got to have fun. You got to have fun. It's got to be laughs. It's got to be loose. It's got to be, you want to have structure. You want to have unstructured structure. You want to have fun. And because there's so many podcasts that are great information. There's some great people that are big fans and everything, but they're boring as hell. They're boring. They're like sitting around talking about stats. You guys talked about today, just with me here. You talked about your feelings watching a game. You talked about what you get angry about. You talked about, but then you talk X's and O's, and you can't just do the X's and O's podcast. It's boring as hell, and people try to do it all the time. And I tell my students at Temple, I teach at my alma mater every single spring, one class, and I tell them all the time, don't be boring. Don't do whatever you got to do. Just don't be boring and find something that's different to you and unique. And you guys have definitely done that.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Appreciate that.
It's a lot of fun.
It helps that these guys aren't afraid to drink before noon. That helps a
I
lot.
wouldn't say they're not doing that.
It's
because
literally
of
the
podcast.
first thing we say when we hang up, John, is God, that was so much fun. So I'm glad to hear you say it.
Every
It should be
time.
one of your
Yeah.
most. It should be one of your most. It should be a joy to do it. I have a joy. I tell you every day. My wife will say 4 a.m. because I did afternoons in Atlanta for my whole career, and I came home here to do mornings, and I curse out Angelo Cataldi all the time, and I say, you never told me the truth about doing mornings. You never. I mean, because it's ungodly. It is ungodly getting up at 4 a.m. every day, but it is a great joy to just be doing my job in my hometown. God, it's awesome. It's awesome. I think we're seeing a parade. I don't know for sure if it's going to be Phillies,
Right.
but I think we're seeing a parade. We will see a parade, I think, before the spring. I don't know who it's going to be. Whether it's going to be baseball or football, I think we're going to see a parade.
Fuck yeah.
That would be awesome news. And what about 2? I mean,
That'd be
who
fun.
knows, right? We're not getting any younger here.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Guys, we're coming up on the hour, so I want to put one kind of like more poll kind of question out there. The Phillies have 89 wins, 14 games left, only 4 left at home. What's your final win predictions, and is that enough to get them home field? So, John, I want to start with you for this.
96 was my call before the season. I thought that they would be. I picked them to be the number 1 seed in the NL. I thought they would win the East, and I thought they'd win 96. So they have to split their last 14 to get 96.
Yep.
I think they're going to hit 96, 97. And I think that's going to be good enough and get them the number 1 seed.
Cool. So let's go down to John.
I'd say 14 games left. I'm going to go 9-5. Screw it. I'm just going to go off for it. Just give me
That's
a 9-5 record. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll take it.
Chris?
Yeah, I think I had 97 to start the season. I think I'm going to be right around that number. So I feel good. I feel good with 97, and I think that's enough to get you the number 1 seed and some well-needed rest before getting into the divisional round.
Butcha.
Yeah, I think I said that a couple weeks ago or a week or 2 ago. I thought they were going to go 16-7 in their last 25, or 16-9 in their last 25, and I'm going to stick with that. I think that puts us right around 96, I believe.
Cool. Mike?
I said 93. I'm going to be wrong. I think it's going to be 96 or 97, which is fine. I was a little conservative, I believe, in the beginning of the year. We do have Carl who says 97.5, so a little nod to John.
Oh, that's always good. Thank you, Carl. Which one? Well, show of hands. Which one of you picked the Phillies to win the East?
Oh,
That's good. Okay. I got to tell you, it would be a different story, I believe, as far as the whole season unfolding. I'm not sure if Atlanta didn't get so banged up. You know, if they don't lose, like if the Phillies lost Harper and Wheeler, which is what happened to the Braves.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be talking about them guaranteed to win the East or guaranteed to make the playoffs either. So
No
I think
chance.
but you got to take advantage of opportunities. Nobody gives a damn what happens to you. You take advantage of it.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you?
So, you know what? I kind of thought they had the same team the past 2 years. They're going to have the same records. They didn't make enough upgrades or changes. So anything now is gravy. And I was wrong because I probably picked, 88 wins for the
I
year.
think you did.
You know, we'll go back. I think you have those notes, Mike, but I think
I
that's
do.
where I was. And, you know, at this point, I think 14 games with, 10 of them on the road. I think if they go 500, we would be happy. What I most want is for them to go into Washington the last 3 games, for Dugan to have a good time, and then to sweep them, because I think momentum's important. I think remembering your last game as a loss of the last 2 is what you don't want to do. They're going to have that week off or whatever it is, that couple of days off in between wild card if everything sits. And I think momentum is important for baseball, and I want them to have that good feeling. So whether they win, I want them to win 2 of their last 3 is kind of at least what I would like to do, but especially the last game. And they might rest people. It could be the time where it's sewed up and they're resting. So we'll go around the horn. We're right at the 1 hour mark. So, John, thank you so much for spending your Sunday morning
pleasure.
with us. We really appreciated your insight and support. We are fans of yours, and we love that you're a hometown guy coming back. So welcome back. Thank you for being on. I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of any last thoughts you may have.
I look forward to seeing everybody down during Red October. I cannot wait. I am so excited about their chances. And I think that we're going to see that this team can flip a switch.
Yeah.
I do believe there'll be a switch. Will they win a world championship? I think it all depends on matchups, but I'm feeling good about it. And I love what you guys do. And I thank you for having me on today. I greatly appreciate it.
Excellent. So, John, final thoughts.
I just want to say welcome back, Mike.
Congratulations.
Little serious note here real fast. Yeah, you woke me up today. John could be a little stubborn. I'm 46 and I haven't had one yet. I will be scheduling a colonoscopy.
Good.
So you woke me up, my brother. I love you. Welcome back. I'm glad to see you on the road to recovery. And I want to see, and on another note, I want to see a win today, win the series. And I want to see us go up to the big toilet in Flushing and, kick their ass there too. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the end of the season, guys. So fuck the Mets and fuck Joe Carter too. Why not?
Cool. And then over to the Butcher.
All right. So, John, thank you for being on. Mike, welcome back. So glad you're doing better, feeling better. But John, thank you for being here. I did a little research for the show today. I didn't get a chance to go over any of it, but I did find out that Roger McDowell happened to tell you that he still receives $13.52 every time that Seinfeld episode airs.
Yes, $13.52. That's very good research on your part. I love Roger. We had a great time when he was in Atlanta. Him and I got close. And that $13.52 check, I actually, somewhere on the internet, I bet you can find a picture of it because he would get them. And every time it airs, he makes $13.52.
That's fantastic. And my notes say, even though Roger McDowell was a Philly at one time and he ran the Kangaroo Court, fuck the Mets.
Yeah.
So I think that's appropriate for today.
We love that.
And up to you, Mike.
Absolutely. Hey, huge game today. We need this game to go up 9. That'll be huge. And then big series against an old friend coming up here in Milwaukee, right? So I'd love to go in there and have him not hit any big home runs and
get one of those wins and you hold the tiebreaker. Just win one of the 3 and you get the tiebreaker against Milwaukee also.
There you go.
I'm just looking for one of those. Get me one. I'm fine.
Very good. He got Reese got his ovation here. Now let's go beat them up there. And I'm going to reiterate, guys, if you're 45 years old, please go get a colonoscopy. John, nice job. You text me when it's actually scheduled, please. If not, I'm going to keep bugging.
I will.
And lastly, it's really fun. I got to go to CBP on Friday night. It's really fun when you're standing right out in Ashburn Alley next to the bullpens and like 10 or 12 Mets fans start a Let's Go Mets fan, and you just pull up the standings on your phone and you show them you're still going to be 7 games down, guys, and just see the air go out of them. That was a fun night. Fuck the Mets, fuck Joe Carter, fuck Nell Carter. Chris.
Oh, even Nell Carter.
Yeah.
So I'd love to win the series here. I want us to be happy today, and I want the people that I'm going to name right now to be unhappy. Danny Heap, I hope you are not happy today. Dave Magadan, I hope you're unhappy today. Bobo Heater, Ron Darling, but most of all, that guy that was wearing the big, sexy Bartolo Colon jersey that was in our section yesterday, which is absolutely ridiculous. I hope he's unhappy, and I hope that the turnpike and the ride over the bridge is terrible for you after the game today. So, thanks for everyone for joining. We'll be on next time with Elena Amaro, and then Sean Selby of Corner Pub Sports, who is writing his book called It's No One Likes Us, But We Really Do Care. So thanks again for joining us. Go Phils and fuck the Mets.
Hey, boys.
Fuck the Mets.
Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.